Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for stopping back into the channel today here at the Rust Belt Mechanic. As you guys can tell, we've got the X3 still in the shop. This is a continuation kind of off last week's video, but we've got a lot of parts here. Big delivery from Agency Power. We're going to be upgrading the brakes on the X3 today. It's going to be a killer time. Stay tuned. So anybody who owns or has driven one of these Can-Am X3s knows that they are the most powerful side-by-side pretty much on the market today. They've got tons of horsepower, 195 horse straight from the factory, upwards of 240 horse after tuning and a couple of mods like we have here on this unit today. But one thing that majorly lacks is the braking. The brakes on these things are nothing more than glorified motorcycle brakes at best. Before, I've done a lot of testing on the X3 when it comes to 0 to 60 times, and in one of the previous videos I actually got to testing the 60 to 0 times, which our draggy unit that we got from the side-by-side blog actually does keep track of for us. So I put that one through the test, I warmed the brakes up, got them nice even out, went out, hit them hard, and what did we get? 244 feet.
Damn, these things are fast.
That is 60 to 0, 244 feet, 6.5 seconds to come to a complete stop. Over 6 seconds. How ridiculous is that?
Ridiculous.
For a side-by-side go fast, go buggy unit just like this one, you should have all the go in the world and way more whoa than that one has. And this is absolutely horrendous. So today we've got the answer from Agency Power. They've come up with a big brake kit, 4-piston calipers instead of 2. So overall, we should be doubling up our brakes. Hopefully we're going to cut that braking time and distance in half is what I'm really hoping for on this one. So let's get digging into this, pull a wheel off and show you guys just how bad the factory unit is. All right, as we can see here, guys, our rotors are horribly hot spotted. All the heat, deformation and everything. And as you turn this, you can feel high spot, low spot, high spot, low spot as we're kind of dragging against the brakes. The brake pads themselves, they are over 3/4 of the way worn through. And this unit only has 1,000 miles on it. 1,000 miles and just under 50 hours and our brakes are already worn out. So this unit is going in the trash. These brakes are absolutely junk and we are definitely going to be upgrading these today. So the first things first, let's get some of these caliper brackets off. Let's get our spindle nut off to get our spindle off and get access to our wheel bearings as well because we got some maintenance to do on that also. Now the 2 bolts that held the bracket on for the caliper, those were 15 millimeters, and then we're going to get our 1 axle nut off after we pulled our little cotter pin out, and this is going to be a 30 millimeter right here. There we go. SP mid-torque impact makes quick work of it. And there we go. That is our outer spindle with the rotor and everything. So now real quick, before we jump into our brakes though, on the last service video that I did make point that you do need to really grease your wheel bearings.
But this car could be systematic.
These wheel bearings are known for going out.
Hydromatic.
Known for getting a bunch of debris and the bearings just go to crap, so they need greased.
Why could be greased lightning? Greased lightning.
Ended up picking up this tool right here. I just picked it up off of Amazon. I want to say it was like 20 some bucks.
Okay.
Pretty easy little tool to be able to use. As you can see here, it's got 2 of these little O-rings with a grooved land here in the middle. This is what you're going to actually be greasing into the center section. That's going to push grease in, through, and out to the bearing from the middle part out. So got these things greased up a little bit and we're just going to push that into place. At that point, we're going to put our regular grease gun right on here and start injecting some grease in through the center section. We can kind of hear it squirting its way through. And we're just going to go until we just barely start to see some grease come out from our seals along the edge of the wheel bearing. We don't need to overly grease these things by any means. And there we are. You can see it just starting to come outside of the outer edge of our wheel bearing here. Kind of get it zoom in and focus here, maybe. There we are. There you can see around the outside edge, that is the grease that's starting to come through our wheel bearings, and that's how we know it is well greased in there, and that's what we are trying to achieve. So we'll get some of the little excess out, and you can see some of the sand that's still in the outer portion of our seal from being in the dunes. So that's what we really wanted right there. All we have to do is remove that. You can see where it kind of greased the bearing from the inside portion of the race right there. That's exactly what we wanted right there. And here is our full kit from Agency Power. The big brake kit here is massive compared to what the factory rotor was able to do. Obviously, you can see that the factory rotor was just a single piece of steel, a couple little drilled holes, but that was it. This is actually a drilled and slotted vented rotor system, 2-piece replaceable rotors that you guys can get for that. And then Agency Power upfitted their own big brake unit, so we are looking at 4-piston calipers. These are going to be opposing pistons, so they are going to be pushing from both sides of the rotor. That's going to get you dual stopping force, double the brake force than what we had before, and obviously all of our necessary stainless hardware, pins, all of our necessary brass washers for our banjo bolts, new banjo bolts, and all of our mounting hardware for everything needed in the kit. Really awesome kit. Also comes with some really good color instructions and everything, not those crappy photocopied ones that you'd see from, you know, these other places that it's just impossible to follow through them. So big plus there on that kit. First things first, we're going to have to remove our old crappy stamped steel rotor from the hub unit because we need to use this hub unit. So it looks like 4 40 Torx are going to be taking these 4 out. Also, just a piece of advice from the factory, they use a lot of Loctite in on these 4 bolts, and yeah, I went through a couple of Torx bits trying to get them out, both with a ratchet and with an impact. End up breaking all my Torx there. What I found works the best is if you take a little torch, not any kind of massive acetylene torch or anything, and heat up this area so it heats up that yellow thread lock that they put into place. That ends up helping a lot, and it ends up getting you able to get all of these 40 Torx out of that spindle without breaking anything else. So now we're going to take our right hand hat, because this is for our right side, and you can see it kind of sits in what you would normally think is a backward direction for a standard rotor. They do have all of our tapered bolts, new hardware to be able to put onto there. It's going to be a 5mm Allen, and they do recommend to put a little bit of blue Loctite onto those threads when you install them into the rotor itself. So we're going to get these started, get them all tightened evenly by hand, and then at that point we are going to go back around and tighten them all to 25 foot-pounds. Next, we're going to install our hub right back on here with our installed rotor already back on it, and then the factory washer and nut's going to go back on here, tighten that one down, and then we're going to torque this one to 185 foot-pounds. Now on to the caliper installation itself. We've got our old one. We're just kind of lay it over to the side here just for a minute, and then we've got our new one. The new Agency Power ones already have our slides and everything. All the brake pads already installed. All you got to do is remove the little foam insert right there, and we're going to slide these on. It's got new hardware. These are going to be an 8mm Allen to be able to install onto there, and you just have to make sure you get the right caliper in the right spot. Obviously you want your bleeder facing up. Get each one started by hand here. There we are. Now we're going to tighten those up, and these are going to tighten on the back there to 58 foot-pounds. All All right, now we're gonna be to the point of filling our brake fluid reservoirs up so we can bleed our brakes. As you can see right here, we've got the 2 reservoirs for the front and the rear. Here in the center section, you pulled your little center cowl off, 2 Phillips head screws holding each one of those caps on. It is gonna take some Super Dot 4 fluid we're gonna be filling this one up with to be able to bleed our brakes then. All right, so now we're gonna be bleeding our calipers here. I've got a buddy inside of the side-by-side gonna be pumping the fluid here. Don't wanna be making too big of a mess over these agency power calipers, so we've got our SP Tools little brake bleeding kit here to be able to catch our fluid. So Chris, go ahead and give us a pump. All right, he's got it held. I'm probably gonna take 1 or 2 times to be able to get some fluid filled up within these big brake calipers. Go ahead and pump it again. Hold. And we're starting to see a little bit of fluid. Well guys, to be honest, it was kind of a pain in the butt getting these things bled. Each one of those little reservoirs is for the front and the rear on either side of it, so we had to start with the rear one is what I would recommend. Start back there, get all the air bled from that one. We ended up having to refill the master cylinder reservoirs probably about 4 times before we finally ended up getting pedal and getting the brake system all kind of bled out and everything. So like I said, it was kind of a pain in the butt, but we eventually got through it. Everything's bled and these things look absolutely sinister. To be able to stop from what we had on these before, those stupid little stamp steel rotors, now we've got the full cast, drilled and slotted. They are directional for each side of the vehicle, so they're gonna be optimum for where they're supposed to be placed at. The kit was amazing. The hardware is great. It comes with everything you possibly need to be able to do the job, so I give Agency of Power a big thumbs up for the kit that they put together here. But the proof is in the pudding, so what are we gonna have to do? We're gonna have to go get some test numbers on this one. So it's a little bit late right now. We're gonna go through the break-in process and I'll kind of go over that here in a minute, but we're gonna go put this thing on the road and see what she can really do. We've got the side-by-side back here at the house. I got it back here and I've just now got time to start the break-in period so we can break these pads and rotors in properly and then eventually get our numbers with the draggy. Now the break-in period on this one is slightly extensive, so I'm not really going to go into detail on that one because it would be like saying Simon Says. You know, put your left foot in, put your right foot back. There's a whole lot of steps to it. Taking it up to 60, bringing it back down, and I would definitely recommend going through the proper break-in procedure on these brakes. It's going to seat the materials from the pads to the rotors properly to get a nice gripping surface and not overheat them or glaze them too early on in their lifetime. So we want to give them the most optimum surface to be able to grip to. So I'm going to go through the whole break-in procedure on this one and get these things done, and then let's hopefully get some really good 60 to 0 times on these brakes. All right, well, I think we have got the brakes all kinds of broken. We've got the pads inset to the rotors just nicely. Now it's for some official testing time. See how this thing will rip and get up and go and then come to a stop real fast, hopefully. Hopefully a lot better than we did before because it was horrendous. Let's go check it out. Whew. That was a quick one to stop. I don't know. This thing is just way too much fun to have out here.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
All right, so now let's check how hot these things are. We just pulled in. You know what? Not as bad as I thought it'd be. 100 degrees on these? Wow, these things stay pretty darn cool. Wow, I literally just shut this thing off. Huh, not even 100 degrees on these rotors. Boy, they are still gripping like nobody's business. Just how they look sticking through those wheels. They just look sinister. Like this thing's actually gonna be able to do some braking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can I get a drum roll, please? Prior to doing the big brake kit from Agency Power, we had horrendous brake times. And how horrendous was it? We had the best brake time that I could possibly get. I'll put it on the screen here, 5.91 seconds at 248.63 feet. 250 feet. You realize a Chrysler minivan full of school kids could do it 60 to 0 faster than that and better than that? That's pretty sad, especially when we're talking about a performance off-road machine. I know we're on road, but a performance machine. We're talking about that here. And we have a brake time like that. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible, Can-Am. You need to come up with some better brakes from the factory. But Agency Power, they said, hey, Can-Am, come on over here. Try this stuff out. See what you can do. So the best time for the Can-Am Big Brake Kit from Agency Power is, check this one out, 3.56 seconds at 161.08 feet. What? 3.5 seconds compared to almost 6 seconds of brake time, and that was like seriously pressing down on it, like as hard as it would possibly go. Once we got these brakes all broken in from Agency Power, these things grip like nobody's business, and as like you guys just saw, they keep themselves cool still too. After going for a couple mile rip, a bunch of 0 to 60s, a bunch of 60 to 0s. I had a couple of different times there where I was just kind of breaking it in, seeing what I had. I had a 422, I had a 4-second flat, and then I was like, all right, we're going to go totally for it. Stood on the brakes, and that's what we got, 3.56 seconds. That is freaking awesome, and the heat dissipation with these things is absolutely amazing. I've got no fade at all, no brake fade, so they're still working like nobody's business. They're working great, so I can't say enough about these brakes. They're absolutely amazing, and then how they look too. All right, boys and girls, well, that's about all the information I've got for you today on this big brake install from Agency Power. I will be sure to put the links to all the parts and everything down in the description below. The SB Tools Rocket Machine Off-Road here is absolutely taking off. I'm loving what it's going to be able to do. Taking it on the dirt drags a couple weekends ago, that was really sweet too. If you guys didn't check out one of those last videos, make sure you go and check that one out. Also, don't forget SP Tools. I'm working for them now, and they wanted to continue the discount on any of the SB tools. If you guys continue to use the code RUSTBELT in the checkout, you will get 10% off any and all tools at checkout from www.sptoolsusa.com. So go and check them out. If you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you get notified when I come out with cool, awesome content, just like this one here today. Appreciate it, and as always, you guys stay awesome.